I worked with Brad Holmes, who is a visual arts teacher at Lawrence North High School for grades 9th through 12th. Each class period is 1 hour and 30 minutes long with an average of 25 students per class. For my case analysis, I worked with Brad Holmes, who is a visual arts teacher at Lawrence North High School for grades 9th through 12th. Each one of his classes was 1 hour and 30 minutes long with an average of 25 students per class. There was currently no students in any of the classes who required special accommodations for learning. The classroom included a teacher computer with internet access and a classroom printer. There was conveniently a classroom located across. Mr. Holmes has a project prepared for students to create an acid-etched mirror using 3 to 6 weeks for students to spend on completing the project. Currently, the only integration of technology in the lesson is in the beginning of the lesson and the end of instructing students to use computers to browse the web for images so that image can be used for a stencil on the acid etching. Instructing students involves Mr. Holmes to give a visual demo. He faces frustration from not having the entire class present and having to provide multiple demos constantly. Mr. Holmes would like for students to create their own all black and white artwork to be used as a template to be attached to contact paper to aid in the acid etched mirror process. My first reaction to the case was that it was going to be simple, finding technology tools to integrate into the lesson since there are so many technology tools around that serve for a variety of reasons. I thought that I could redevelop the entire project and change things around, but I started to realize that the reason there isn't much technology integrated into the project itself is because to fully grasp the concepts, a student must be hands-on with the materials and just watch what the teacher is doing for them to know exactly what is to be done. And demos also provided students with personal understanding and could visually see with the objects being in front of their face. I still think students should have their own Tumblr accounts to document their own activities in the classroom so that they can post pictures, videos, and words that have inspired their work, and to also share with their family members and friends and their own personal use of what they did in their experience at school. So this would be difficult to implement just because each student does not have access to the computer in the art room, and they may not have frequent access to a computer elsewhere to do these things. So that made that a big issue and could not be used as a option to the case analysis. The most difficulties I encountered in the process was finding and establishing the biggest problems in the case. The problems mostly stemmed from students being unmotivated, and the only way to solve that was by making the project more interesting and enticing for the students. I solved this problem by providing students with more ways of understanding the project so that they wouldn't become discouraged and thus become unmotivated to participate in it. Another difficulty I encountered was that the method in which Mr. Holmes was using for students to make the stencil of the picture they chose was too time-consuming and confusing. So while trying to fix this step, all of the ways to change an image to a stencil format included long instructions and complicated applications. I participated in a lot of online research to locate a free stencil creator that was quick and easy to follow. I found it most difficult to implement technology into the classroom and into the lesson, especially for the art subject classroom. As the case analysis progressed, though, this became more of a challenge than a complication or difficulty. I used it to my advantage and for that reason found more creative ways of implementing technology through how-to videos and websites for students to access. I have learned that having to work with teachers, it caused me to be more professional and learn how to communicate appropriately, especially concerning collaborative work. This made me have to be on my feet about communication and caused me to be more aware of my emails, and I shared my progress to people so that they could help me in reformatting maybe some steps I missed out or needed, and just actually working hands-on with a teacher really helped me be more professional in education. So I learned how to properly lay out project details for students so that they were able to understand what the teacher was actually looking for in the project. I also learned that making websites for student projects helped them greatly by providing them with easy access to details of the project, such as project objectives, a list of materials being used during the project, grade evaluation, the expectations that I or Mr. Holmes has as a teacher for the project, and also steps that were involved in the project. One way for me to improve my case analysis would be to revise. Revision is extremely important, and although it was hard for me to actually do the revision, I think that consistent peer editing and also editing by me would eliminate small mistakes or things that didn't make sense. I would also improve the project by incorporating review questions and assessments for the students to participate in to ensure proper use of materials that were used in making the project. Also, this would help Mr. Holmes in finding better ways of doing instructions or just things that might have been left out that students would have liked to see. A teacher assessment would also be beneficial in providing me and Mr. Holmes with data detailing responses on students' ratings of how the lessons were taught and any changes that students could think of that would improve the lesson, or just little things that students kind of found difficult. I was fortunate to be working with a teacher that I had during my high school career. Therefore, I was comfortable with Mr. Holmes's class and how it was ran and his method of teaching. This, I would say, was a strength because I had a more personal relationship with him because I had him as a teacher for a couple years. And so I knew exactly what the project was about, how the project went, and it made it easy for me to have firsthand experience as a previous student in his classroom and of the project, so I could have reflected back to when I had participated in the project and what I had trouble with during it and what I would have liked to have access to during the project. So I found those to be extremely beneficial to me in this case analysis. I greatly improved my teaching skills by spending time with the students in Mr. Holmes' classroom. I discussed with them about difficulties they experienced while working on the mirror etching project. I learned to assess these students while I was talking to them and took their opinions in consideration to make the case analysis more applicable to the problems that they were being faced in the classroom. Communicating both with the students and teacher gave me more professional experience, and I was able to build strong relationships and a bit of a network with the students and the teacher